Okay. All right. What are we doing? I have no idea what we were even talking
So
about.
yesterday, by the way, we were at a firm baseball game at the Mariners, and near the end of it, which was around 6:30,
Yeah.
Mo, who's there with his wife, all told us that they just realized it was their anniversary. They had both forgotten.
Okay, wait, but
I'm calling you out. Did you get her flowers?
I did. I went and got really nice orchids, but you got to understand.
Wait, how nice is nice?
Like really nice.
What does that mean?
They're like pretty.
How many orchids were there?
5 in a pot planted.
Okay, good. That's good.
Yeah, they're very nice. Okay, first of all,
Wait, there's no excuse for this.
there is no excuse, but
No.
there is something about a relationship when we've been together 18 years.
Wait, look at how he said that. If you're watching on video, say that again. Show me the grimace.
What grimace?
You did it. You went 18 years.
No, I don't mean it like that.
Okay, well then.
But,
okay, wait. You're supposed to look loving and.
Oh, okay. Wait. Okay. All right.
18 wonderful.
18 wonderful years.
Okay.
That we've been together, and we just forget the dates.
Uh,
But maybe that's a positive thing. That
Okay.
it's like timeless.
Mike, was that positive? No, it wasn't
I'll
positive.
say this. I'm coming up on my 30th anniversary, and
wow.
I can't get away with forgetting it once. So I don't think that it's.
Thank you.
I don't think so.
And you've been thinking about what you're going to do for the anniversary, right?
We already have. Like, we've been around so long that
30 is a milestone also.
we don't always buy each other gifts. Like, we
don't have to.
get each other gifts maybe once every 5 years or something like that. Or if I want to do something, like if we think of something that we like, oh, they really want, we'll do that then. But like this year, we planned a trip in Europe together ahead of time. So we already have all our plans.
And by the way,
Wait. Let's compare this. A trip in Europe versus I forgot until the ball game was almost over and got her some flowers on the way home.
Yeah, but come on, he's got 12 years to get back to
Oh my
get
God,
to where
I
I'm
thought you were
at.
defending him.
I mean, look. I always think in life there's a path to redemption.
Basically, you should just stop talking.
No. By the way, my birthday gets forgotten every year because I shared very
Birthday
close to somebody else.
Anniversary.
Yeah.
It's December 27th, so I always get forgotten. People always are in the throes of
Christmas.
celebrating Christmas, and then I don't like.
Do you see how he changes to a sob story about his own birthday?
Okay,
To
I'm in the
segue-
doghouse. What do you want to know? I'm in the doghouse.
Oh, well, you're not in
And
the
you're just like
doghouse.
pushing me more into the doghouse.
I'm not. I'm just. Remember what we talked about yesterday? What did I say about sorry?
Oh, you said a very good thing about
Put
sorry.
your sorries in a sack.
Well, she said it's not an apology if you say I'm sorry, but.
Yes.
So point well taken. It was a weak response by me.
Oh, you have to admit it.
I will take it.
Because someone told Mo sorry, but. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. You had me at sorry, and then you lost me at the but.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well taken.
It is.
All right.
All right, what are we talking about?
Okay, well, we're talking about the good life.
The good life?
Yeah, so sometimes when Mo and I go on a walk, we ask each other questions, like a profound question.
Yes,
like,
we do.
why are you limping? Or, what did you eat for dinner yesterday? But other times we ask these profoundish questions. And one of them was, I think, if you could do one thing to make your life better, what would it be?
Yes.
We'll ask
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay. Going back to January 12th, 1978, I wrote about what is the good life.
Okay.
And I thought we could talk about it.
Okay.
How do you know if you're experiencing a good life? Think about this. When you can honestly say that you're as satisfied and content with your life as you want to be, then you have a good life. This is according to my 17 years old self. Because of everyone's different morals and goals in life, all people aren't going to have the same idea of what a good life is. So I can't come and say generally what a good life is. Instead, I have to tell you of my own views on the subject. To me, the good life represents my feelings on what I want out of life. It's my goal of having a totally fulfilled soul. In order for me to have such a life, I think these things need to be present. Number 1, happiness. Number 2, personal achievement. Number 3, self-satisfaction. Number 4, meaningful relationships with others. And number 5, contentment. Interestingly, I did not put contributing to making the world a better place, which I think maybe that's tied up in personal achievement. But if I had to do it now, I would add in, be more specific in contributing to making the world a better place. So happiness is important for me to have in a good life, because without joy, life would be a dull, boring, and too hopeless process. Can you imagine what it would be like if there was no happiness in your life? Depressing. I'd feel so deadish. I mean, without happiness, what would you look forward to? Okay. Then I have a high school example here, which I'm not going to read to you.
Okay.
But I do want to talk about what makes a good life. And here's another reason I was thinking about that.
Well, let me see that. Can I see that, please?
You can.
I want to see it.
So we represent.
And, well, before we move on,
Okay.
I'm going to ask some questions.
Okay, but let me just tell you the other context of why I thought this was an interesting topic. We represent people whose lives have been turned upside down, and they are no longer feeling like they're having a good life.
Yeah.
In fact, we've had, we have people that believe they've been betrayed by the government,
Yeah.
by the system.
Yeah.
Their loved one has been killed. Their claims have been disregarded, fought. They have been in terrible circumstances. Many people cannot make ends meet. Some people have to declare bankruptcy. Many people have to lose their homes, move in with their parents or anyone that they can find to help them. Other people, young people, end up in nursing homes for the rest of their lives. Young, like I have one client who was 17 when it happened.
Yeah.
I think she's now 35. No. Yeah. She's close to 40. Been living in a nursing home the whole time. And how privileged I am, right, to talk about my good life as a 17-year-old person. So I thought we should talk about the good life.
I think that's a great topic to talk about. What I love about what you wrote is that it's so straightforward and simple when you talk about happiness, personal achievement, self-satisfaction.
And then I give an example for each one.
Yeah, and meaningful relationships with others.
Yeah.
That one jumped out to me. Like, what does that mean?
And so then again, looking at clients,
Yeah.
especially like, for example, TBI clients
Yeah.
whose whole personality changes, their ability to comprehend or communicate with the world changes, or people that have lost someone. Like their friends don't know what to do, even their family. They don't want to say anything that's going to make them upset. They stop being able to interact with them on both sides. People aren't there for each other.
Well, I mean, we get to go on a walk, and a lot of our clients can't even do that. So
Yeah.
you talk about meaningful relationship, like we go walk several miles and have conversation,
Yeah.
and then we are that brings joy. That's the good life, and we have clients who can't do that. And yeah, I mean,
So this is really part 3 of money.
wait, what?
This is really part 3 of how do you value a person who doesn't have a good life.
Okay.
I mean, look at how entitled I am.
Yes. But you're also, how old are you?
I am 17.
Okay.
But you weren't entitled at age 17.
No,
I don't know,
wasn't.
Mike, if you were as entitled.
I was probably entitled. I mean, at age
Somewhat.
17, I was going to a private high school. And
Oh my gosh, the most entitled of everyone in the room.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like when you're that young, you're sort of brash. You don't
know. You're naive. And I mean, I was that way at that time. I thought, I was going to change the world. And I had no idea what life was going to be like.
I would not have written this.
Well, yes. He would not have written this.
I would not have written this.
No.
No.
But when you look at the good life,
Yeah.
I mean, you even had an idea of what the good life was. And you could tell us what that was, but it was a lot different than mine. Mine was like, I'm walking down in my little rose garden, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. I'm going to be so happy. Right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna just be super happy. I'll look at this while you're talking further for some examples, but the importance of even the concept of having a good life has to be monetized when you are a person whose good life has been destroyed. Not only maybe the current good life, but all hope for the future has been fundamentally changed forever in a way that's terribly dramatic.
And that's the same for people whose lives weren't good before something happened.
At least you had hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now you've got me thinking.
All right, so let's tell us about when you were 17 years old. This is before you I wrote this when I was a senior in high school. Okay?
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the winter of your senior year in high school, if you were to talk about a good life, what was it? And what's the difference between your good life then idea and then what you were hoping to achieve in a good life? Be honest.
I mean, I remember a moment. I remember, and I need a little background before I talk about the moment that winter, because it's such a memorable moment. I played basketball, and I remember getting the opportunity to play basketball when I was in the 8th grade, going into my freshman year, and I was terrible, and a coach really gave me the opportunity to play, but he also, the high school coach, John Pugh, gave me the opportunity to play, but he also invested a lot of time in me. And I was improving. And one of the things that I perceived to be the good life was my fellow players' parents would come to the games and watch their kids play and celebrate with them. And my mom never came.
Never came or
never
couldn't
came
come.
early on, never came to my games.
Was that because she was working or?
She worked long hours and she was struggling with chemotherapy and cancer.
That's right.
And so it was, I never asked her to come, but I remember wanting the experience of her being there and watching me. And I worked so hard to play basketball, and I wanted to get to a place where I was excellent and good. And my senior year, she came on senior night and watched my game. And I remember that I was just so proud to have her watch me play. I played a really good game. And then they took our picture. And there's a picture of me and my mom, and I've cut it out. There's somebody in there. And the other person that was in there was my stepdad. And I did not understand why she brought him. And I remember taking the picture and just thinking that the good life was kind of confusing for me because, you know, the things that my stepdad did to me growing up as a little kid was so terrible. And so it was confusing for me because they were so happy to have her there watching me play because I worked so hard to show her that I could accomplish something. And then, but I didn't know why she brought him. So it was, that is the most memorable night of my senior year. And I give flowers. I get flowers on senior night. And honestly, all I wanted to do was, the good life for me was to leave and go away. And I remember that night I just started to make plans of how I could escape. And then as I was creating the good life idea of where I would go, I felt a pull and like an anvil like sitting on my back that I would have to leave her. And I did not want to leave my mom. I didn't want to leave her. And that pull and push just really made me give up on trying to figure out what the hell the good life was. And so, you know, when I read you write that, I just feel the good life right now is that my son, Jude.
I told you to stop talking about Jude.
But he writes like this.
Yeah, he does.
And so the good life for me is that I have broken a generational chain of what I would call at times, hopelessness, and my son is like that. So it's just, you know, these kind of topics. It's just like, how do you monetize that? I don't know how you monetize that, but I know what it is. I can talk about it. You know. So.
Well, I think. First of all, thank you for sharing. And for not actually crying, because you've cried like 3 times in a row with me lately. That would have been 4.
Because I got a lot going on.
But that was a non-tear cry. But I feel very emotional about that because when you describe that for me and Mike, we were there with you. Didn't you feel like you were there with him? Mm-hmm. And so point number 1 is, even a highly privileged person that worried about like what disco they were going to go to on the, you know, in the weekend, which just talks about, is capable of understanding the human experience and connecting with it.
Yes.
And so therefore, when we're talking about our clients and we use them as data points,
yes,
there is no connection.
Yes.
But when we talk about our clients and show them, yeah, and let them reveal themselves and oftentimes we're the ones that have to reveal them.
Yeah.
There
yes.
is a genuine connection.
Yes.
Because my heart was up here when you were talking also, even though I didn't live your life.
Yeah.
But you could communicate it to us. And so I think that's what we do as lawyers, which is really special when we're talking about things like damages.
Yes.
Is we have that opportunity to be the, you know, there used to be this soap star star Linda Evans, and do you remember, wasn't it? And she was into this guru who lived up in Yom, near Olympia. Remember the guru? And they could channel like the old gods from supposed old gods or beings from like medieval or times.
Yeah.
And Mike's laughing because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. But I've always felt like we have to channel our clients for the jury to understand, because this isn't something that you can explain with a grid.
No.
Look at how different our good lives were. And you know what? Your good life is more appealing than my good life. Mine is just a bunch of entitlement. No one's going to care about me like they're going to care about someone who's really, really had to strive and overcome. That's like that archetype is the most powerful archetype.
And I super appreciate that. But one thing I'm constantly very vigilant about is that the experience makes me feel entitled. Like, to allow myself to feel entitled, because, I don't want to say that, like, oh, I went through this, therefore, I'm, better. One thing I really like what you just said is about, channeling. Channeling is such an important word.
You got to take yourself out of it.
Yes.
Like a lot of people will say, oh, those trial lawyers are so egotistical. Well, the good ones have, and even if you are egotistical, and you have to have some ego to be a trial lawyer,
Yes,
because you're
you
going to
do.
be kicked to the ground and fought against so much. You have to be able to have the ego to pick yourself up. But you have to put that ego aside in terms of being able to channel the humanity that you're presenting.
Okay. So what I would love to see you do is, if you can, channel a little bit. Take what I just told you and in your own words, or a client, and just maybe teach practitioners and channel a little bit. What's the process? How do you channel?
Well, let's say that you are now give me something bad that happened to you.
Recent?
Just pretend.
Pretend. Okay.
You're a client. What happened to you?
I was involved in a scooter accident. I was hit, and my legs are devastated, and I can't walk anymore with my friends and talk about life, and I can't play basketball.
Did you suffer a debilitating brain injury as well?
Yes, and I suffered a debilitating brain injury, and I can't write poetry like I used to, which is like a passion of mine.
And you can't really talk either.
And I can't really talk either.
Okay. All right. So, I'll use the concept of good life too, for if you're a jury. Everyone here has, at some point or other, thought about what they want out of life and whether they're going to get it. I call it the good life. Not all of us achieve it. And all of us, probably almost all of us, are always striving towards that. We're hoping that our job will get better, or we're hoping that we can maybe buy a house one day, or we're hoping that maybe we can have a child because, the doctors are saying the chances are slim. Maybe we're hoping that a parent will be able to hang on long enough for a cure for Alzheimer's to come in. Maybe our best friend who has cancer will go into remission. It's part of our daily thought process is to hope for a better life for us and the people that we care about. Hamoudi grew up a little differently than I did, in fact, extremely. And maybe some of you feel that maybe you had something similar happen to you than to him. But he grew up in a war-torn country where he listened to bombs at night as a little child and thought all the time he was going to die. He developed severe PTSD, even though he didn't know what PTSD was, and he was never, of course, treated for it, because how could you be in a war-torn country like that? And his little trusting body went along with his mother to America with a side detour of picking up a Pakistani stepfather who abused him and his family. His idea of a good life was much different than mine and than yours. And yet he still had an idea of a good life. Maybe life would be better. Life was better when he got to the United States because he didn't have to hear the bombs. Maybe life would be better when he could get away from his stepdad, or at least grow big enough that he could hit him. Life could get better if he could move away, and life did get better when he did move away. how much better was Hamoudi's life going to get? What were his dreams? What were his hopes? How hard did he work to achieve them? This is a story of a person that literally beat all odds to somehow scrappily conquer one thing after another. And now, with a beautiful young child, with a loyal and faithful wife of 18 years, well, 16 plus 2, whose anniversary he just forgot. We come to a day when he gets on a scooter and through no fault of his own, hits a divot in the road that's there that shouldn't be there, that has a dangerous medical object protruding from it, one of many potholes that we all go by and just think are normal in the streets of Seattle, waiting for the government to fix them. He is now unable to walk, unable to talk, and there is no more opportunity for Mo, that little boy who listened to the bombs and made a better life. There is no more opportunity to hope or dream for a good life. The end.
That's really good.
Why, thank you.
That is really good. That's fantastic. Okay. Now, follow-up question. What you did is...
It wasn't that good because I didn't start crying. Well, like normally I would.
Yeah, and you hadn't practiced it. You stumbled on a couple words and stuff like that. But I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
And I think it was a good example of what you were asking for, which is, and I don't think that every attorney can do this. It's having the empathy to feel what is wrong in that situation. What is, the reaction to the action of you being injured, but being able to frame it with how you had a difficult life to begin with, and this is now turning it into another difficult life of a different type.
Yeah, but and exactly what you just said, but I just gave you the exercise. Yeah. So obviously what it tells me is that one, you have to trust yourself and just go there. And that's what you were doing. And I think that the juries overwhelmingly appreciate a lawyer who's trying to talk with them, visit with them, rather than try to give them a prepared statement, like to have a lot of preparation. So I think that's the strength of what you just did, is to show how you were just trying to tell them exactly the feeling. What's super interesting to me, because I've never thought of it, because you're doing it in my history, is
let's hope this day never comes.
His history and his fantasy at the same time.
But what was super interesting to me is that you described an arc from my childhood towards the difficulties, then upwards, moving up towards the good life, and then now another challenge. And then, but what can't be really answered is that, my goodness, is this guy gonna make it again? How is he gonna do? I'm thinking to myself, I want to know how that story ends with this injury. And so you've created an opportunity. Now, we got to talk about how you ask for money in that context.
So a jury is going to look at, can we fix this?
Yes.
First.
Okay.
So we'll have a life care plan, which would be in the millions, clearly, because of what's happened to you.
And what's a life care plan?
A life care plan is when you hire someone like Tony Chapa, who talks to all the doctors and figures out what will it take to not just keep you alive, but to try to keep you going mentally, physically, always. And how is that going to happen? So, and it could be the difference between you having to live in a, rehab hospital or a rehabilitation home, we would call them old folks home in the old days. Now they're mixed, but whether you stay in a facility, an institution basically,
Yeah.
or whether you're able to live in a private home and have care given to you. So that's issue number one. That's normally not the hardest issue.
Yeah. Talk to me about the general damages.
Yeah, the general damages are the harder issue, and that is the loss of the good life, the loss of the dream of a good life, and the loss of a good life.
And general damages for those that are not lawyers, what is that?
Pain, suffering, disfigurement.
Okay.
Emotional distress.
Okay.
All of that. And of course there would be, in that case, if you had a brain injury, loss of consortium of your own child and your wife, which is loss of love, care, companionship, attention, guidance, support. So what you do when you're able to not just preach at a jury, but also have them, as we were talking about channeling, being able to really understand like what happened here on a human level,
yeah,
and building a bond, is we're having them have to value that. How precious, we've already talked about that, how precious is this person's life? How precious is this person's ability to have a meaningful living existence without pain and horror and no hope?
Yeah. I just learned something else. Okay. So the life care plan, and then the general damages, the pain and the suffering. And then you have, my gosh, painted me as a person who is resilient and can accomplish great feats. They're going to be thinking about the pain, suffering, and inconvenience that I'm going to endure.
I hate the word inconvenience. By the way, I mean, there's some words that I really don't like, and I won't use them. Like pain and suffering is a trigger because it's been hijacked by the defense bar to talk about whiners. Oh, pain and suffering, pain and suffering. But when you actually talk about pain and actually talk about physical suffering and detail what that means, the metal in your body, or the fact that you can't go to the bathroom by yourself, or someone has to wipe you each time, or all of that, the indignities of living a severely injured life and having a premature end to that life potentially, which is a whole nother issue because they'll want to shorten your life expectancy to reduce the special damages.
Yeah. Okay, so
there's so much stuff.
There's so much stuff, but there is the pain and the suffering of pushing forward.
Correct.
Like the process of trying to
live another day,
or find a new good life.
Yeah.
Would you tell them that there is a good life for him and here's a process, or do you just say it's over? Do you see what I'm saying? Because one is like, the latter is like a sense of hopelessness, and the other one is like empowering the jury to say, no, he's going to make it, but it's going to be totally different. And you see what I'm saying? Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
So I don't believe in any hard and fast rule, and everybody that's severely injured or how they die and how their survivors act, it's completely different. As a generality, as a general thing that I strive for, it is to not paint a hopeless situation. In fact, in the motorcycle injury case that I had, of the young man who wanted to be a firefighter, he's never going to be a firefighter, who was injured with all those orthopedic injuries, his whole body was crushed. Everything was focused towards being positive.
Okay.
Because, his mindset was positive. He was going to overcome this as much as he could, and he wanted to be a firefighter still, even though everyone said, no, you can't be one. He still wanted to be one. And to show the human spirit is that remarkable, then the juries will connect that way. The bottom line is, how will a jury be able to truly understand and embrace your client?
Okay.
And giving the jury some sense of hope is normally a good thing.
Okay. Another big bulb in my head. The motorcycle client,
Yeah.
you did not impose your mindset on him. It was his mindset of like, I am going to win. Right?
Yeah.
That was his, right?
Worked out 6 to 9 hours a day.
Okay. All right. So a lot of what you talked about how you present this, really is driven by where the client's mindset is. How much does the lawyer have a role in helping shape mindset as the case moves forward and gets ready to go to trial? Or how much should the lawyer not engage that and let the client walk their path? Talk to me a little bit about that.
So lawyers need to stay in their own lane.
Okay.
But what exactly is that lane?
Yes.
And I believe that juries are very smart. And for the lawyer or your client or any witness, there's two scenarios. One is they're authentic and you believe them, or two is they're the best actors in the world and you believe them. So I'm going to tell you right now, I've said this before, there are lawyers I know who are great lawyers who are really not very nice people. They don't really mirror who they present, but they're they're charismatically amazing, and they are very good actors. They can put on a persona like a second skin, and people will believe it.
Yeah.
I think that happens. And then there's the authentic type that are just, this is who I am. Now, I'm not going to say one is better than the other.
Yeah.
I'm going to say there's times when authentic is better than the person that can put on the skin, and there's many times when the person that can put on the skin is better than the authentic, hapless lawyer. For clients, unless they're a professional actor, and even then, but I think that you have to go with authentic. You have to find out how that's going to present. Now, that doesn't mean you just let them go and just talk. You have to work with them. There's people that use coaching.
Yeah.
There's people that have, and this is for defense and plaintiff. You know, the defense bar does a whole thing. They have their witnesses go through rigorous coaching of how they're going to answer questions and be trained in front of a jury. Plaintiffs don't always have those resources.
Yeah.
But it's up to you, the lawyer, to know who your client is so that you can present them. You can't have your client be something that they're not. And the story has to ring true. Ultimately, it has to ring true. Otherwise, you're going to be building your case around a proverbial, house of cards. They're going to come down because it's not going to be able to be maintained.
That's my favorite part of the job, is getting to know the client.
Mm-hmm.
And not just in the sense of like what they have endured, but just their personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you that authentic is the way to go. And I think that lawyers have a role to inspire their clients. You know, if you look at the ABA guidelines, they don't limit the role of an attorney as just a legal advisor. They talk about a counselor, about things that are not legal, that are totally unrelated to the legal world. Because, I mean, you yourself have so much experience with people's pain, trauma, and the hardships that they have suffered. You have a library that you can draw on and just sometimes come in and say, hey, I have a suggestion.
So I know we're going longer than normal, but I do want to put a little pin in this topic.
Yeah.
I used to be of the school of not having enough boundaries with clients, There's a lot of lawyers that'll say, go to your clients' homes and do this and that and eat with your clients and live with your clients. Strip Matter did that on one of his biggest cases. He went and stayed in the hospital bed of the rehab unit next to his young client for 24 hours, and he lived that life. The older I've gotten, the less I've done that. I don't want to change my client. I don't want to invade their space. Who am I to go and live in their house? I don't want to do that. But
That's pretty radical.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, live in the house.
Counseling somebody and living with
them.
them.
But I have, we have fantastic paralegals who interface a lot with the clients. I want to meet with them and know them enough to be able to tell their story, but I don't want to become their counselor.
Okay.
My mother was a family law attorney. Do not want to do that. I do not want to cross enough lines so that they overly rely on me to tell them everything what to do. They need to do what they need to do. I'm happy to be like a guidance counselor, but I don't want to be their marital counselor. I don't want to be their personal counselor. I've also seen transference when things go wrong. If you're too close to a client, they'll turn on you if something goes wrong.
I have seen that.
So I have more boundaries than you do, probably because I'm older, and I don't think it's impacted at all my ability to tell their story.
Yeah. Okay, well,
because remember, we're looking at all their medical records. We're looking at all their photos. We're talking to all these witnesses.
Yeah.
So we're not just talking to the client. We're having to learn the entire life.
Let's put a pin in that, and I will only close and say we should do an episode on client relationship a little bit, but you don't have to make radical moves. You can do what you just described to understand the client. Read the records, look at the photos. You can gain a lot and understand a human being. So, but I do want to talk about that.
But it's more than understanding a human being. This is where I think that lawyers make the mistake. They think that we understand the client and therefore we can tell the story. It's that extra thing, which I did when I put myself in, told you your story, is what is the story?
Yeah.
And it's not just like, what are the facts of the story? What is the emotional arc of the story?
Yes.
What is the internal arc of the story? What is the moral arc of the story? It's a whole thing of how do you let people see that this story is going here and that needs to go here.
Okay. You got your last word.
I always get my last word.
Always.
Always.